while we wait, I'm going to show you something else that's pretty cool. We take a magnet where the front of the magnet is north and the back of the magnet is south. North has an X, south does not have an X. If we put the magnets together north, 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 they repel each other. They do not go together. They create a force between the magnetic flux lines, and they do not go together. If we put the magnets together north, south, north, and we alternate them, they want to stick together quite nicely. If we take magnets north, 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 and we continue that sequence, and we wrap them around a ring, much like this, for example, to where all of the norths are in and all of the souths are out, that creates a vortex of magnetic flux lines going in, where the magnetic flux lines all come in, create pressure within themselves, self-rotating and then coming out back into the south of the magnet. This is the top view, and then the side view is this, where the magnets go around and then the vortex, like this, comes out and then goes back in. So this is essentially a vortexing magnetic field. So now what's the significance of that? If we take a vortexing magnetic field and we stick it on top of a static magnetic field, what do you think will happen? It'll create spin, it'll create motion without actually touching each other. The vortexing magnetic field will create spin within this magnet, and I'll show you that right now. All this is a steel ball bearing. This is a speaker magnet, and these are also little speaker magnets. All of the magnetic fields are facing inward, and that creates a vortexing magnetic field to where if we put it over this, this could be scaled up, precision engineered with high powered magnets to create a perpetual motion machine, whereas this is just a cardboard tube with the speaker magnets that I got at the store, taped and rubber band. But still, it proves the concept that motion exists naturally in the universe. I'm going to do it one more time, then we're going to get back to the plasma. So that's the nature of the universe.
Magnet vortex, the real hidden forces in magnets, the shocking truth. Yes. Double magnetic vortex was discovered in 1980 by Howard Johnson. This is what it really looks like, and here's the validation of it. This is the most hidden technology that there is.
Hello everybody, this is Al, and this is a continuing saga of the magnetic fields and what they really should look like. What I'm going to show you a couple magnets. These two magnets are basically stuck together with a piece of solder in between. And I'm going to show you really what they look like, but in fact, you're going to have to be really careful because it could be a lot of deceiving things what you see here. I'm going to stick it on this back end of this old monitor. There it is. Okay? This is really what the magnetic field looks like this. What you have, actually to the left and to the right is the north and the south field. Okay? And the point where the wire is hanging down is a null field. Okay? It's like a block wall. Okay? So what you have here, I have to use a pointer to show you in fact what it looks like. What you have here, basically, this here is the south field, and this here is the north field. Okay? Right here is a artifact. There's a spinning magnetic field right here. Okay? There's a spinning magnetic field here. There's one here. Okay? And there's one right here. Okay? Now I'm going to bring the reference to Howard Johnson. He was a great man in Virginia Tech in the 1980s who actually identified this. In fact, this is really what the magnetic fields look like. This is the south, this is the north, this is a center black hole on the side right here. I'm going to rotate this. Okay, here we go. Just stunning colors. Now, this is really what the magnetic fields look like. This is reality. Okay? Now I'm not going to put this magnet flat against the screen because it really just going to confuse you. Okay? I'm going to show you a black and white representation of the same effect. Okay? Thank you for watching, and watch the rest of this video. Thank you. Hello again, and this is the same magnet that I had in front of the red or a color monitor before. This time what I have is I have a black and white monitor. Now this black and white monitor shows a little different representation of the same magnetic field. Now watch what happens when I take this magnet, when I have basically the screen divided in half to show you the effect of the helical field. Okay, here we go. So the field looks like this, okay? Not much, okay, just as it was before. But watch what happens when I go flat. Okay? See the twist there? Okay? What that tells me is basically that the field is spinning one way. Now it's spinning the other way. Okay? There it is right there. Okay? There is a helical twist from the top of that magnet, okay, clockwise and counterclockwise right here. Okay? Now, you really don't see anything else in here, but there's another representation, but the most important thing is right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more magnets, 2 more magnets to the back side, and to show you what actually really happens. Please bear with me. Okay, now what I did is I added 2 more magnets to the same orientation. Okay, now we're going to have an artifact that's being generated right in the center. Okay, I just added 2 more magnets to increase the magnetic field. You can see that. Okay, now you have a black spot. Okay, the black spot is causing a field, the electrons to be spinning. Okay, now I'm going to rotate this all the way around. Here we go again. Okay, now it's spinning the opposite way. Okay. In this video I attempted to show you that in fact what you know about magnetism is, well, let's just say, it's still not scientifically known what actually causes these things. And this is the side view. There's the south side and an application here. Again, that's not very good. Anyway, this is counterclockwise and there's a clockwise spin. Again, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully leave me some comments. Bye-bye.
Alright, some commentary here. This is a real magnetic vortex. It's coming off the magnet. The magnet's sitting in an aquarium, and it's being basically electrified by a single wire. And you can actually see the tornado vortex. It is actually a real field. This is what I was demonstrating earlier in the video. Please look at it, do your own research. This is one of the most suppressed things about magnetism. We can have free energy by now. That's all I'm going to say. This is probably my last video on magnet vortex. Thank you again for watching. Yeah, this is a helical spin of a magnet sitting in a plastic plate, and here's a tornado coming off the top. It's got about 6 volts through it. You hear the power supply in the background, but my noisy power supply. Single wire. Let's see, here it is. Really stunning. Just a neomagnet. This isn't, what's the old saying? This isn't magnetohydrodynamics. There's definitely something more to this than just meets the eye. I think the Russians try to run submarines with it. Okay, well,
The Secrets Hidden in the Pyramids of Egypt. Part 1. The idea that civilizations progress from a primitive state to a more advanced one is a fallacy that evolutionists try to apply to history. If one abandons evolutionist nonsense and prejudice and looks at the historical references and findings with an unbiased mind, what one encounters is civilizations that used highly advanced technologies. Remains left from ancient Egypt, the Mayans, and the Sumerians indicate the branches of science such as electricity, electrochemistry, electromagnetics, metallurgy, hydrogeology, medicine, chemistry, and physics were used to a considerable extent. Electricity was efficiently generated and widely utilized in ancient Egypt. The Baghdad battery and the first arc lights were used at that time. But was electrical generation limited to these in ancient Egypt? A careful examination of Egyptian history immediately reveals the sophistication in perfect illumination. No soot has been found in the corridors of the pyramids or the tombs of the kings, because these areas were lit using electricity. Relief carvings show that the Egyptians used handheld torches powered by cable-free power sources. The arc lamp used in the lighthouse of Alexandria is further proof that electricity was used in ancient Egypt. The energy required to power the lighthouse of Alexandria for 24 hours a day could only have been supplied by a regular electrical source. The pyramids of Egypt were giant power plants generating electricity. 1. The outer casing of the Great Pyramid was covered with white tufa limestone, so tightly built that not even a razor blade could fit between the blocks. The white tufa limestone does not contain magnesium and has high insulating properties. This insulation property prevented the electricity inside the pyramid from being released without control. 2. The stone blocks used inside the pyramid were made of another form of limestone, containing crystal and a small amount of metal, which allow for maximum power transmission. The shafts inside the pyramid were lined with granite. Granite is a slightly radioactive substance and permits the ionization of the air inside these shafts. When we look at an insulated electric cable, we see that conductive and insulation materials are used in the same way as in the pyramids. 3. The conductive and insulating properties of the pyramid are an example of flawless engineering. However, a source of energy is needed for electricity generation. The Giza plateau where the pyramids stand is full of underground water channels. The pyramids rise above the limestone layers, the spaces between them being full of water. These special layers of rock that transmit electricity upward as they carry underground water to the surface are known as aquifers. The high volume flow of the River Nile that passes through these aquifers produces an electric current. This is known as physioelectricity. The pyramids' underground chambers are granite conductors built within the rock charged with physioelectricity. This electric current is conducted directly to the upper part of the pyramid's granite, covered subterranean chambers. Granite is a very good conductor of electricity. The electromagnetic field that forms at the bottom of the pyramid is transmitted in concentrated form to the upper layers of the pyramid. On the top of the pyramid there was a gold capstone, gold being an excellent conductor of electricity. This section is no longer there in our day. This means the top of the pyramid has lost its structure of flawless geometry. This gold capstone facilitated a conductive path for the transfer of negative ions to the ionosphere. This way, a current was generated. How does it serve to move the electromagnetic field on the ground through the help of an aquifer? An identical form of this technology, employed in Egypt 5,000 years ago, was used by Nikola Tesla, an inventor of electric technology in the early 1900s, in a tower he constructed in the United States of America. Tesla, the inventor of such fundamental electric technology as the alternating current, electric engine, radio, the laser, and radar, was successful in simultaneously transmitting sound and pictures between continents in the Wardenclyffe Tower he built between 1901 and 1917. He used an external source of electricity for this, and even applied wireless power transmission technology. Tesla had also built his tower above an aquifer and discharged the negative ions from the aquifer to the tower. The electromagnetic technology used in Tesla's famous tower is identical to the electromagnetic field set up in the construction of the pyramids. Both systems generate negative ions and transmit them without the need for electric cables. So for what purpose did the Egyptians use electricity? Relief carvings clearly show that the Egyptians used handheld bulb-type lamps powered by a cable-free electric source. These bulbs are reminiscent of Nikola Tesla's descriptions to show that his alternating current was safe. At the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, Tesla transmitted alternating electric current through his body to light a bulb he held in his hand without using electric cables. This relief carving shows a wireless antenna. The Egyptians used the antenna and cable-free energy for wireless communication. And the relief on the left is a carved transmitter with the receiver on the left. This evidence indicates that the Egyptians used free wireless energy for communication purposes. This relief carving shows a yarn manufacturing facility. The yarn Egyptians used for their fabrics at that time were as fine as those manufactured by machinery today. The Egyptians also used electric power in their weaving plants. It was seen that many gold objects which have remained from ancient Egypt were in fact very finely gold-plated. Such perfect gold plating as in these pieces requires the use of electricity. The total electromagnetic measurement made around the Great Pyramid is identical to that made during a thunderstorm with lightning. There's a powerful electromagnetic field around the Great Pyramid. This may be observed through a simple experiment when standing at the top of the pyramid with a bottle wrapped in a damp cloth. Sparks fly away from the bottle as if one were on top of a high-voltage bobbin. The pyramids were not used as tombs. The pyramids have always been interpreted as the tombs of the pharaohs, but in fact no inscriptions of any kind appear in the corridors of the Great Pyramid. This suggests a functional building rather than a mausoleum. An empty stone chest was found on the central axis of the pyramid that archaeologists call the King's Chamber. They claimed that this contained the coffin of the pharaoh, but that since this had been stolen, it was now empty. But the examination of the dimensions of the stone chest and the special location in which it was installed reveals a different state of affairs. That point is just where the missing part of the pyramid's conductive structure and whole design suggests it should be. If a superconductive material was installed here, the pyramid could manufacture enough electricity for all of Egypt. This superconductor is thought to have been the Ark of the Covenant, which was known to have been in Egypt in ancient times, and whose dimensions are just right to fit inside the stone chest. The prophet Moses, peace be upon him, was adopted by Pharaoh, and according to historic records, was raised as an administrator because of his superior moral values, intelligence, and abilities. One of the phases in leadership training in ancient Egypt was the teaching of all the secrets of Egypt and the knowledge of energy. In addition to its other properties, there are also various references to the Ark of the Covenant serving as a capacitor, and that this was the source of Egypt's energy. The prophet Moses, peace be upon him, is known to have taken the Ark of the Covenant with him when he fled Egypt. According to historic references, one of the reasons why Pharaoh chased the prophet Moses, peace be upon him, right up to the last moment and strove to catch him at whatever price was the Ark of the Covenant, because Pharaoh was aware that all the glory and magnificence of Egypt would be lost without electricity. Historic references also show that Egyptian civilization reached its peak during the reign of Ramses II, who lived at the same time as the prophet Moses, peace be upon him. But those civilizations collapsed in less than 10 years after Ramses II, and Giza was even abandoned. The city, once the center of civilization, remained deserted until the next dynasty settled there. Were the Egyptians the only society to utilize wireless electrical technology? The relief carvings left by the Mayan and Assyrians also contain images of similar techniques to those implied in the pyramids. All this information once again goes to demonstrate that there were no primitive people and societies in the past, as evolutionists would have us believe. In terms of civilization, more or less developed communities have lived side by side at all times throughout history. A society that existed thousands of years ago enjoyed a far more advanced technology compared to one living in the 20th century. And this shows us that development is not part of an evolutionary process. In other words, that there is no linear advancement from a primitive level of civilization to a more developed one in history.